everybody, this is Sid Sexton and my good friend Keith Glines with episode 91 of the Overlap Podcast. And if you're new to the Overlap Podcast, what we're really doing with this podcast is studying, discussing the overlaps between business, family, fitness, parenting, management, leadership, with the concept of becoming better in one aspect of life. You also will become better in another aspect of life, and we're having a good time.
We are, and we're inching up on 100 episodes.
We're finally being consistent with something in our life that's non-physical.
That's it.
That's good. I'm good with that. So today we're going to kind of jump right into it. Today we do have the honor, and it sounds, our guy is going to laugh over here, but I think this is a fantastic guest. We've been talking about having him on for a while. It's a guy we've known through jiu-jitsu for a long time. I say a long time, and I don't really know how long. We'll probably get into that. But a guy that has, a pretty damn successful business in a pretty crowded market. And I wanted to make sure that we had our friend Cameron Rhodes on to discuss someone and having another voice other than myself and Keith talking about getting going in a business in a crowded industry and making it through and developing a brand and getting to a certain level that he can fly all around the world and do jiu-jitsu tournaments in Europe and crap like that.
And have some sweet American flag boots on now.
He does have in a sweet haircut too.
Yeah.
I'm just jealous of anyone's haircut really. But so Cameron, hey man, thanks for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, but you came all the way over to Fairhope and you're sitting down with us, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for being on.
Sure. Glad to be here.
So the premise of this and how I'd like to start is just give us a little background, man. You know, where are you from? Where'd you grow up? How'd you get here? How old you now? All that stuff.
It's a good story.
Yeah.
So
I got a little bit of it.
I was born in Florida. I'm a Florida boy.
Okay.
In a town called Live Oak. My
Florida
dad
man.
ran
Gotcha. The music festivals in Live Oak.
Well, he ran the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch.
Oh, okay.
But this was pre-music festival days, I feel like.
Okay.
So born in a small town there. I lived in Georgia for a while, up in Atlanta, in a small town called Eastman, about an hour south of Macon. From there to the Carolinas, and then Salt Lake City for high school. And then a little bit of California for college. That was a very loose term when I say California for college. There was California, there was less college.
Gotcha.
But need to get back on my feet. Decided to move back home for a minute. Mom and dad had moved to Pace, which is north of Pensacola.
Okay.
And I planned on being in this footprint for about 6 months. And that was in 1994.
Okay.
So, been in the Panhandle since then, other than a few years during the downturn. Went to in 08, 09.
I was going to say, which downturn?
Just the important one.
Okay.
Not the current
We're not talking about the dot-com bubble in 2001.
So the dot-com bubble, I wasn't in my current industry until right after that.
Okay.
But in 08, 09, I've been in the pool business since 2001.
Okay.
Well, no, let me take that back. Depends on which end of the business. I've actually been in the business since the mid-90s.
Okay. When you moved back to Pace?
Well, I moved to Pace. I had a girlfriend whose boss is, how do I say this? My girlfriend's boss's boyfriend owned a pool.
Okay.
Company, and that's how I got in the pool business. Well, I needed a job.
This is really a Florida story.
Yeah, this was back in 96.
You know?
It was the best job. I could work as many hours as I wanted. I got overtime. I think I was working for minimum wage, but I'd work 60 hours a week and just learned every facet.
This is building
business.
Pools or servicing pools?
This is just
Cleaning
running.
pools.
This is retail store. There's a little bit of tech work, tearing down pumps and filters and pool cleaners.
Okay.
Putting them back together, sweeping floors, cleaning bathrooms.
Sure.
And just really pouring over like the chemistry side of things, kind of everybody that walks in and want to get their water tested.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while. I left briefly, not even a full year. I decided to go back to college. And so did that, and then realized I still need a job and go to college. So I got back in the pool business. That's about that 2001 time period.
Okay.
I'd gotten married and needed to have like a real
Same
job.
girlfriend?
Same girlfriend.
Oh,
So the
okay.
girl that got me in the pool business is my wife today.
Okay.
So that's a whole other story. But anyway, so really from 2001, that was before I was more like, I call it a flunky. And then I really started learning this art and this craft. And so I was selling spas for a while. I was running a retail store, worked as a tech. I got on some pool crews at that point too. I was learning, how to operate heavy equipment, how to lay out pools, do project management, that kind of thing. Worked my way up to sales manager. Was there until the downturn, 08, 09.
So this is like a 7-year stint with the same company?
Well, it's almost 10 altogether.
Okay.
But yeah, at that point, it's about a 7-year stint. But yeah, I mean, the truth is that I thought I was going to take that company over, truthfully.
Okay.
The guy that ran it had kind of become almost second father to me. I mean, learned a lot about business from him. Unfortunately, we had fallen out, and it had a lot to do with the economy and the climate at the time.
Sure.
I've always been good at selling pools, even at the bad period. So I thought that would be something to keep me safe, and it just didn't. So I ended up moving to the Carolinas, stayed in the pool business. I tried to get out, looked at some things, was going to be a farmer rep or something else like that, and got pulled into the pool business, worked for a company up in the upstate of South Carolina for a couple of years, moved the whole family there. Then that didn't work out, left the family there, came back down to this area of the world. And then went to work for another guy out of Orange Beach. And then in 2015, I hung my own shingle, and been doing it myself ever since.
Okay.
So that's the pool story.
That's this pool. That's the genesis.
That's
of
the
the
genesis,
pool
correct.
story. That's a lot of apprenticeship, I'd say. Just doing every job.
Yeah, and it's important. You talk about from a business standpoint. So I've got a business partner. I think Aaron.
Yep.
So Aaron was a hardscaper, right?
Okay.
Not unsimilar to some of the stuff that you do. And we had kept finding each other on the same jobs. That's how we met. I was doing the front end on the pool, and he was doing the back end.
Gotcha.
But, Aaron's the kind of guy that, he prides himself that he's never laid a paver in his life, and he has a successful business. He's never built a pool in his time. We've built lots of pools, and he knows the pool business.
Yeah.
But I come from that other kind of mindset that, I've touched everything. Now, there's some things I don't want to do ever again, right? I mean, we all have those jobs. That,
What would be one of those jobs? What would you not want to
troweling
do?
the bottom of a vinyl pool. That's probably the worst job in the pool business.
You said troweling?
Troweling.
So is that like around where the like the not the skimmer, but whatever?
No,
the
like
hell-
so in a vinyl pool, you have a something that makes up the walls, wood, concrete, polymer is what we use down here, and then the bottom of the pool is a sand and cement mix or vermiculite mix, and it's a hand troweled. It's a hard thing to do. Vinyl pools are actually one of the hardest pools to build. We actually don't sell them anymore because I don't care for them.
Yeah, such a pain in the butt. Yeah.
They are, but that job, the sun's beating down. There's no wind because you're in the bottom of a hole.
Yeah.
And it's just, you got, it's cementitious. So like your hands start drying up,
Yeah.
right? All that kind of stuff. And I'm not good at it either. That's the other thing. And, there are guys that really know how to work a trowel and do that job. And I know the concept of the job. I know the science of the job. I don't have that, maybe the patience for that part of the job.
It's kind of like me in jiu-jitsu. I kind of understand the concepts of it. I just don't really execute very well.
One day it'll all click.
Yeah, and
I'm
it's,
still waiting for
it's
that day
hot
too.
and whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Today, I literally looked at Jiba and said, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Show me how to do the back roll when I have somebody on my feet and go into mount again.
Yeah, we've been working on it all week.
Or the mobility, maybe.
Yeah, it's
you know.
probably mobility. So that's awesome. I was just curious of what job that it might be.
Yeah,
You said, okay.
Yeah,
So you've done it all,
Yes.
and that's different from Aaron, and that's fine. Whatever. I guess it takes.
No, and the point is I mean, he's a great partner because we both get it done. We're pool builders. We just come from different directions, right?
Cool. Yeah. So 2015, you start out. You're on your own now. It's you and Aaron automatically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys join up right from the get go. What's the name at that time?
Southern Poolscapes,
Southern Poolscapes. Okay. Where are you located?
right here in Fairhope, Montrose.
Okay, you were okay.
Yeah.
Same space you are now?
No, we were actually right down here, like 10 Section Street was our address for when we first got
Get down
started.
here. Okay.
And then we're
And
now.
you were living over in Pace?
Well, I live in Cantonment, north of
Cantonment, that's what I
Pensacola.
meant,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've lived there since coming back to town. And Aaron lived here in Fairhope.
Gotcha.
Well, he lived in Mobile actually when we started, and then moved to Daphne, and then
Okay.
so yeah.
All right. You started there, Southern Poolscapes. How did it start off?
Well, actually, we came out of the gates amazingly.
Okay.
I mean, we killed it our first year. I mean, we had the talent, we had the smarts, we knew what we were doing.
2015 here was not a bad year.
No, and you know, we were able to start on about 20 grand, but I had 20 grand and 20 years of experience, right? It wasn't, you talk about apprenticeships. I mean, I paid some bills and paid some dues, I guess, you know, with the time, but we ended up, doing really well our first year, doing really well our second year. In fact, we doubled things. We doubled everything.
What did you do in 2015 Just best guess.
We
What do
did
you
just
think
shy of 3 million.
Just shy of
in
3
our
million.
first year. Yeah. Second year.
That is getting it.
That
1
is
year. How many
absolutely
pools
getting
is
it.
that?
At the time, we were averaging about, I think we were averaging about 70 grand per pool. So whatever that math is, I can't.
Keith's getting, I'll get on it.
It should be easy math.
It is easy math. I just got to get
Just
it
not
up.
in
So
public.
3 million divided by 70,000. That is 42 and a half pools per year.
It's about right.
That's getting
Sounds
after
about
it.
right.
Man, that's one a week almost.
Well, and then we doubled it the second year. We did.
That sounds painful.
Like 5.9. Well, it was we kept building. We were building our team. We were hiring people. The thing is we doubled our sales and we made the same amount of money.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Which is and a lot of it because we were doing the same job. You know, we were not efficient at all.
You and Aaron were doing
Aaron
the
and
same
I were
job.
not right. We were, you know, we were at not cross purposes. I don't want to say is he was doing a thing and I was doing a thing at the same time, and we were doing the same thing.
Okay.
You know, and so and what we've learned to do is now we call stay in our lanes.
Yeah.
And it's a funny, I call it our safe word, but I'll be going down the road and he'll go, hey man, stay in your lane. And I go, okay. So like admin, the office, that's his domain. I don't touch it. He can't stand sales guys. So, cause he doesn't understand why I cater to them. Well, I cater to them because that's the reason my
where the
business
revenue
grows.
comes.
Right.
Yeah.
And, Aaron is former Marine and everything that you think of that as being a former Marine. I mean, he was literally on the way to boot camp on 9/11. You talk about changing the world all of a sudden, right? So he spent a little time in the desert, a little time overseas. And, but so he's great there. He loves SOPs and he reads paperwork and he does, contracts and all this. And I'm the guy that says, I want the new truck and I'll sign here. And
yeah,
he'll take 3 days to read it all and tell guys where they're wrong.
We'll work out the details later. Yeah, I'm with you.
And so it makes a great partnership. So and then construction, we kind of split.
Cool.
I've got some of the knowledge base and he's got the logistics that he handles. And the truth is we could handle all of it like individually, but it's a really good partnership for that reason.
You got your own areas of strength.
Yeah. So
I've not been so lucky in partnerships. And so one of the things that I think people go into partnerships thinking is that everything's going to be hunky-dory. And I'm sure there's been bumps along the way that you had to learn to work out, right?
Well, they even have a safe word. I don't know if you call
have
it.
a safe
I'm sure
word.
that came from someplace.
Yeah,
and you only get safe words when. Never mind.
I get where you're going.
Something went wrong. I'm sure.
Well, and look, we've had shouting matches. It's not that we haven't. I mean, we've dealt with a lot of personal issues. I mean, that's part of stuff you work with because personal, comes into your business.
Sure, especially partnerships.
Yeah,
yeah.
And but it's one of those things that we keep working out because we have the top goal is the same, right? We both want to get we want to be successful, we want to be comfortable, we want to build a legacy. And so we both know that's where we want to be. Sometimes how we get there is going to change. And one thing that we found is when we are not present with each other, it gets worse. And so,
oh my God, the overlap in marriage.
I
was waiting for all that. I actually had a mental note.
So it's very, I mean, he is my work wife. But just like you need a spouse and need to be intentional about the time you spend with a spouse. He and I have the same thing because he lives in Fairhope. I live in Pensacola. I never make the office. I'm in my truck all day. That's my office. And he goes in, so we don't see each other as much. And then as we've grown, we've expanded territory. You know, we're basically from the Mississippi line, and now we've just picked up another office. We're actually the far side of Tallahassee now.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a big I-10 corridor, but I trust that he's working every day to make it the best, and I'm working every day to make it the best. But we have to be intentional about seeing each other. And it's funny. So you're talking about jujitsu real quick. When we first got together, we started doing jujitsu together. That was one of the things early on. And he did not practice as much as I did.
Yeah.
But we used to go every Friday, and it was great. And then, I get better at, and he maybe got less better because he'd spent more time boxing than he did on the jujitsu mats. And then, of course, I got promoted, and I have a size difference. There's definitely a difference, in physicality. And so that kind of faded away, I think. Just based on it wasn't as fun for either of us anymore, right? And but he kept up for a while, and then he ended up having an ankle injury, and that kind of slowed him down, and I kept going the other way. So, but as long as we're intentional about it, business goes really well, man.
Okay.
And when we don't, we like, if we go about 4 weeks, like there's something he's done that's irritating me, and there's something I've done that's irritating him, and we have to remember not to have that conversation on the phone, and maybe like, hey man, let's go have dinner. Let's go sit down. I mean, I'll drive over here at 11 at night. He'll drive and see me. I mean, it's just making early morning breakfast, whatever it is, whatever we need to do, because we're busy. And I'm lucky to have him because, again, you were talking about, I do get to fly around and do jujitsu, or I did. This year's a little bit slower. It's going to be a different year.
Yeah.
Well, business is important. We got an opportunity to do some really big things, and so. Having my shoulder injury last year kind of slowed me down. The year before, when I was a purple belt, I mean, gosh, it was every weekend or every other weekend. I was
those measly purple belts.
Yeah, I know. Well, that same year, I think I was man. I think I was almost at every tournament you were, and I was like, we were going a lot,
especially in the Southeast. But it was a cool opportunity, right? Because that year, I went to Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I went to Indianapolis. Texas. I picked up a Boise tournament, and then I switched Boise because they had Atlanta the same day, and I wanted more competition, better competition. So although I do like, you get come on, it's a $5 medal, but it says Boise on it. How many of those are there, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was nice. We were coming out of that COVID year, and so a lot of the action was happening in the South anyways, right? So Orlando was more popular. Atlanta was more popular. Charleston, Charlotte.
Charlotte for sure.
So, it was a nice, I was able to get around pretty well.
And so in back to business, you're able to do that because Aaron's kind of holding it down administratively.
Yeah. I mean, gotcha. I don't have to, like, when it comes to taxes and insurance and audits, I get a P&L to look over, but I don't have to really dig into it. I'll look at something and go, hey, why are we here? Or why is our legal at this? Or why is he'll send me a paperwork and say, hey, we did the audit this year on the insurance, and this is what we're going to do. And I said, great, right? I don't have to, and he lets me out in the field, and I say, hey, we're going to do something this way, or I'm making this call. Hey, we're going to have to dig that out again. Hey, we're going to have to start over, or whatever it is. And as a tidbit, this is new for y'all, but I'm adding a third partner. This is part of this Tallahassee expansion. Young guy, David, phenomenal. He's got an existing tent business, and we're kind of rolling everything together. It's just part of our whole thing. But he's a go-getter. He's awesome. And so he fills another role because we're just growing so big. Aaron and I can't do it all. And so it's just a force multiplier, right? So now there's a third partnership. And, I've known David for about a year and a half now, and, we kind of invited him to marry into us, or I don't know. I don't really know the genesis of that.
Okay. Did you bring him to jiu-jitsu?
I did, actually. Yeah. So he is.
I think I've met him.
He's brand new to jiu-jitsu, and actually, because he's been splitting his time in Tallahassee, he's been training with James White over there with Soul Fighters.
Okay, yeah.
I think Soul Fighters. I'm going to get that. James and Dylan.
Yes.
So
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Soul Fighters.
I've met those guys at tournaments.
Yeah. No, and Dylan, they're phenomenal folks, and they've given me an opening because I've been going to Tallahassee like every week now. In fact, that's starting to be. I'm building his sales team. I'm building his construction staff. He's got some great guys, but I feel that role better than David does.
Sure.
So you've got crews right now from Tallahassee into Mississippi. through Alabama, all.
Well, we don't go into Mississippi anymore. When headquarters was right, in the middle was Fairhope, is we went all the way to Louisiana border, went to Jackson. We're go find the business, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we were stretching. That's one thing. And this, I'm going to go back to when we talked about, 15 to 16 to 17. So now we are, how do we keep getting bigger and actually make more money, right? That's a nice
you had the
thing
lesson
to get
of
to.
doubling and still taking home and making the same amount.
And so we looked for, we thought, do we hire a business coach? Do we do some training with somebody? What do we need to do? And about the same time, Premier Pools contacted us. Mm-hmm. Premier is the biggest pool company that's ever existed.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, I know. And to a exponentially larger than any other. Last year, Premier as a whole, I think they did $600 million. The closest a pool company's ever come to that, I think, as a group is $150 million. It's big.
Oh,
wow. And it's just, so when they first initially reached out to us, I basically told them, no, I didn't want to be a franchise. There's another franchise in town that doesn't have the most stellar reputation. I didn't want to be like that. I didn't need to be McDonald's. I was going to be the best. But Aaron worked on me and said, hey, we ought to at least go interview with these guys. Our headquarters was in Sacramento at the time. Now it's in Nashville. And so we went out and met with them. And I might have started drinking a little bit of the Kool-Aid. And, but we didn't.
In the bourbon flavor Kool-Aid?
Yeah, no, not the bourbon flavor, but we could have. But no, so anyways, we came away from that meeting. He's all in. Aaron's been all right. Systems, processes, sure. SOPs, CRM, all of the things that we were lacking that we really did need.
The franchise has it, right?
And the franchise had it. Yeah, they answered. So, but what happened was, we had a trip to, Rome the following week.
You and Aaron.
Aaron and I and our wives.
Okay.
And it was the pool business is really nice too. It gives us trips. There's very few industries that do this anymore. We get, I won't say almost too many trips a year, but I like giving away to my employees and the rest of it, or we can take them with us. And so this particular, we went to Rome with a company called Paramount. They do a lot of what we call white goods, the returns and skimmers and things like that. They have phenomenal systems. So I think we're probably day 3 in Rome, having a great time. And we're waiting in a hotel lobby trying to figure out what to do for dinner. And some big old man comes up behind me, puts his hands on my shoulder, says, hey, you're going to dinner with us. I went, okay. And so I followed these guys down and went down the Spanish Steps and down,
You didn't ask, who are you?
No, you meet all sorts of neat people. He was with the group. You figure it's a thing, right?
Oh, okay, sure.
It wasn't and there was
He wasn't some strange Italian.
No. This was a guy, obviously, in the American guy in the group.
Oh, okay.
And it turned out it was Bill Unger. He is the owner of the Houston franchise for Premier. So, other than Sacramento, he was the number 2 guy at the time. And then we had Sacramento there too. Keith Harback, one of my favorite people on earth, he's been doing this for 33 years. He and Paul Porter founded Premier. But we had a great dinner with, I think there were 7 other owners, maybe 8. Mm-hmm. And they just treated like family. They made us part of the group. And so we ended up probably somewhere over Portugal on the way home is where I signed the paperwork to be part of the franchise. My wife was the only one that, she was the last holdout, only because she liked the Southern Poolscape logo better than Premier. And you talk about funny, I tease her about this day. She's like, I just don't like, I said, look, that logo will put our kids through college.
Yeah.
So let's do that. So, we stepped in and I haven't really looked back. It's been a phenomenal time with them. And the cool thing, the first thing is they taught us that we were trying to run too slim. Right.
Okay.
That was the hardest thing, right? Because you think about overhead and you think about numbers and why would I add another person? And they had a guy that came in and we had these list of jobs. Mm-hmm. I think it's maybe 13 jobs that you're supposed to have. And, we were dividing them between 3 people and they really need to be like 6 or 7 people.
Sure.
And so that was one of it. They do phenomenal SEO. That's one thing that and Aaron was good at that too. That's one thing that he was a talent at. One reason we had so much success starting out is we looked like we were already a grown-up company.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about the web a lot is that if you do it well, you can look way bigger than you are.
Yeah. Oh, no. And it did help. People were like, oh, yeah, you built my pool or you built my parents' pool 10 years ago. And I was like, lady, I wasn't in business 10 months ago, but sure.
Okay.
But you just take that and say, we enjoyed it.
No,
We
I've been
enjoyed
in
it.
this footprint. And the cool thing is if you do a good job, I mean, I've had people that have hunted me out that I built pools for 20 years ago and say, hey, are you still in the pool business?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, so that's been a cool thing. So, but anyway, so we kind of, you know, we have a little bit of their secret sauce now, you know, and we had to give up part of our income to a franchise fee. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that hurts. You're like, man. But the flip side is what I've gotten out of it, and I probably get more out of it than Aaron does, is I love to teach. I love my business. I love sharing. I like to educate. And the cool thing is everybody in the pool business locally knows each other. Right. We all just if you're in landscaping, we know each other. And if somebody were to call and say, hey, I'm having trouble with something, you may help them, but you're not going to give them your secrets. You're not going to tell them the formula to figure out what a vanishing edge, you know, volume of basin is going to be. You may point them in the right direction. But see, the cool thing is now we've got 170 offices that I can call and talk to and say, hey, this is how you do a thing. Or, hey, I made that mistake. You don't have to make the mistake, right?
Yeah.
And so that's been a really cool kind of being able to educate and bring in new offices. We started, you know, we helped plan an office up in central Alabama. Now we got one in Huntsville, helped the guys in Jacksonville for a little while. Gulfport, we have, you know, their sister company. I mean, so that part's really, really fun. And those are just the local guys. I mean, I get called, so every day we dig, we hit water, right? We live on the Gulf Coast. And I'd handle water. So when a guy in like Omaha hits water, that corporate goes, you need to call Cameron. Here's his number. I get to talk about how to control water, right? If we hit rock, well, that's a whole other story. But I worked in
someone in Colorado,
right? Yeah, basically, or my buddy Scott Lang out in Boise is the go-to, I would say, for rock. But see, I dealt with rock too. When I was in the Carolinas briefly for 2 years, I mean, we dealt with it. So I have an understanding, but it's not, you know, I mean, I've seen rocks get dynamited to, you know, open up a pool hole, which is crazy.
You got plugged into a network, like a peer group.
Yeah.
That everyone's speaking the same language. You're on the same books. You can benchmark each other. You've got a pretty good peer group all within that Premier Pools.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good deal.
And you're at different ages in your company and ages in experience, right?
Sure.
So I'm, you know, nearly a 30-year veteran of the industry. And then we've got my buddy Ray, who just started, you know, 6 months ago. He's a golf pro.
Okay.
Now he owns a pool business and he's killing it right now.
Awesome.
Right. But he's also running into all the things that we ran into and we know. And the other thing that I enjoy is like, because I start these new offices out, they have the same problems. And so I can come in and go, okay, just expect this to happen. I can't prevent the problem.
So and I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's really what I wanted to kind of get into. And for our listeners and really for my own curiosity, what are like the top three things you see that these new franchise owners and really this all translates to new business owners anyway. It doesn't really, business is business, whether it's pool or landscape or media.
I was going to say also, this is the power of a franchise too. I mean, as far as if you're wanting to go into business and you don't have all the pieces put together, you can look at great opportunities. Yeah. To own a great business that people have already gone before you and figured out all the problems.
Yeah, 100%.
And that structure is a lot of times is great for people to look at.
And I can say for the listening audience, you may not know Cameron, but I've known Cameron through this phase, and it was pretty obvious. Like when you guys turned into Premier Pools, it was like boom. Yeah, it sort of blew up.
It's because they have a passion for splashing.
Yeah, that's a good one. Maybe that's the secret sauce. Well, oh my goodness. All right. So what are like the top three things you always see?
So the first one is like suppliers.
Okay.
Right. And this translates.
So you're not all buying from the same suppliers?
So there's a couple big distributors. Cool. And then the problem though is
you
pricing.
Pick the one that gives the best trips.
Well, those are manufacturers, but yeah. So no, you pick the best product and sometimes you get a bonus. But and they all do trips, so it doesn't matter.
Oh God, why didn't we get in the pool business?
But the big thing is so we have, like locally, we have 2 distributors, right? Some markets have 3. When I first started in the pool business, there were 4 guys in town. Now we're down to 2.
Oh.
There's 3 if you look at our entire territory. But anyways, so you have a couple options of where to buy your goods. And then the thing is, as you go further north, pool equipment starts costing more, right? We're here in what they call the sand states or the Sun Belt. It's because of our volume, right? There's more pools at the beach, and as you go into the mountains, you're going to have less. So, for the distributors to make their number, they charge the guys in Chicago a little more than they charge the guys down here, right? So when I start saying, I pay $2,500 for that pump, the guy in Chicago might be paying $2,800. Okay. So you have to have a formula to account for the regional differences. And what a lot of guys do is they'll go off of somebody else's price book, and the further you get away, the more it's going to change. And then you go and you build your first pool and you go buy your equipment, and you realize that it's $2,000 more than you anticipated.
Yeah.
And that's a big chunk of change to write off and to lose on a job, especially early on.
Yeah.
So the other one is your subcontractors. So we use a lot of subcontractors because it's hard to do everything in-house and do everything in-house well.
Okay.
You can do it. Once you get big enough, you start adding phases. And that's something that we've done is we wanted to be high speed, low drag. And I said I was never going to, we sold all of our excavators and skid steers. And now here I am owning equipment again because that phase was something that I needed to tackle because I couldn't get a subcontractor to take care of it or take care of it in a proper amount of time. But early on, you can't afford to put the layout for the money or the expertise. And so you hire other people to do it.
So the issue that people just running subs, they have a problem with finding subs,
finding them first of all. So then the guy that you can find, especially if this is a busy time of year or the COVID years were incredibly busy, right?
Yeah.
And so you would have you would need somebody, say excavating a hole, right?
Okay.
So I know that if I'm going to dig a hole in this footprint, it usually runs me about $1,000. My buddy Ray, who just dug a pool in Huntsville, it was $7,000. All right. That's a huge difference. Now, when he talked to the guy on the phone, the guy told me about $3,000, right? Because we don't get good numbers because Ray asked maybe some of the wrong questions or maybe not all the questions. It wasn't bad. I feel a little onus too. I should have helped him with it. But he got hit with what we call giblet charges, right? That's travel and there's a fuel surcharge and, it was over a weekend or whatever the reason is.
Did they run into rock that had a dynamite?
Well, he's had to run into some rock and that, but see, if you run into rock, that you have good contracts, right? Hey, Mr. Homeowner. Yeah. We dug down and we hit water, we hit rock. We have clauses for the unknowns, right? Yeah. But this is more, you maybe don't always know to ask the questions and then, some of us who try to help, I forget that the questions that I only assume, right? And they just don't know. So, but Ray will overcome and he'll get a volume of business going and he'll do, he'll get there. But that's the harder thing. But you think about it, Huntsville's 5 hours away. Why is it so vastly different, right? So regionally, that's one thing. And, I say where media is, I'm going to say more or less the same wherever you go. Versus, what plants you get to pick wherever you go changes, right? Sure. So there's a little bit of that nomenclature changes from market to market. But really it's, subs, suppliers. And then the other one is probably the hardest thing is figuring out who your market is. And what I mean by that is, there are pool builders in all facets, right? Just there's guys that, there's vinyl pools, there's fiberglass pools, there's gunite pools. There's, hey, I want to do just a bunch of volume and do some cookie cutter type stuff, or hey, I want to do some spectacular stuff. And kind of finding where your niche is, and then also knowing what you can and can't take on. It was 12 years before I ever built a pool with a vanishing edge. Now I do probably 10 a year, right? There's some builders that never do them.
Okay, so vanishing edge is just, where it falls over
like
the
an
horizon.
Infinity edge, right, where it falls out, yeah.
Gotcha.
And I feel completely comfortable with it, right? Like it was something that I never had the opportunity, especially I started in a vinyl market, and then we got into fiberglass and the concrete.
There's an Infinity edge on a hot tub.
Yeah, that's a perimeter. That's a perimeter vanishing edge hot tub. We do a lot of those now. In fact, I feel like I'm doing one every week at this point.
That's pretty awesome.
It's really cool, and it's not a lot more money to have that effect.
Is that Fairhope?
That pool is that's in Texas.
Okay. Yeah,
Hal Franco out of the Houston office did that pool.
Okay.
So probably one of the best designers we have in the country.
Is Al Franken?
No, Kyle Franco. So he was in Houston at the time. Now he has his own. He and his brother have their own office in Fort Worth.
Okay.
So
Not a bad market.
nope.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm going to recap this to the listeners, what I really heard was, number one, know your numbers. When it comes
Always
to
know your
suppliers, you
Top
don't.
to bottom, any part of business, but suppliers too. Yes.
Yeah, but when it came to suppliers in your scenario, it really was know your numbers. Don't use my price book. Develop your own.
Correct.
Okay. Number two, know your subs. Really, what kind of questions you need to ask, how do they operate, how do they charge, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Know your subs. Know your people, whatever.
Right.
But in that scenario,
well, get
know
a
your
price
subs.
book ahead of time, and even have them bid a job before you go dig it.
Yeah.
That's always a nice thing to do. And people get such in a hurry, and they're excited, and hey, we sold one, and
yeah, so you'll just pay the tax you'll pay the consequences that for being in a hurry.
And I want everybody that starts in the pool business, even with backing of Premier, we like to think that we can soften those blows, but you're going to have them. You really can't, and you can't develop a good price book until you build 3 or 4 pools, 5 pools, and you really don't know your numbers until after a year of business. I mean, you'll get close, and the margins are decent enough that you should be decent enough that you can take those hits on the chin for a little while.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then the last one is know your ideal client. Like, what are you? Are you a fiberglass pool guy? Are you a design build company? Are you a service company? Whatever, just whatever it is you want to be. Yeah, I like it. So those are the 3.
Yeah.
Cool. So you go into Premier Pools. What and you guys really start to take off. What issues did you run into with all this growth? Because it was on after the at least here in the South, Florida, South Alabama, we were over COVID.
Yeah. Oh,
in
yeah.
like
we were
6
over,
to 8 months,
so the issues weren't. So finding reliable work. Right?
Okay.
Everybody was busy, right? So
Everyone
getting on someone's
was busy.
schedule, getting them to come out.
So finding your subs or finding your
well,
people.
we've been blessed with having good subs. People we have an amazing core of guys that we've been able to add to.
Okay.
Because we have, I think it's a cultural thing. I'm tell a quick story. Years ago, I was with one of the other guys. We did the alligator restaurant here. It used to be Laps. It's on the Causeway, whatever it is, the alligator pond.
Oh, Turks and Caicos.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Ralph and Cacus.
Right.
All right, so originally
Yeah.
it was called Laps.
Yeah,
Right?
I remember
and
that.
so I built the gator pond there.
Okay.
And so
I
what
didn't
you
know there was a gator
learn,
pond.
I don't know if it's there anymore. I haven't been in a hot minute,
I haven't
but
either.
basically we built a slide and a pool for the gators to go up and down, right? And what I learned was you have to train your gators. Like you can take about a 4 foot, the gators grow about a foot a year, just to give you learn all sorts of fun stuff when you're doing other things. And so you grab the gators and you literally have to teach them to go up and down the slide. And once they get it. But then when the gators get to about 6 feet, you add 2 more smaller gators and then they teach the gators. You don't have to do anything to teach them. So once you teach your gators, if you teach the right gators and hold on to your gators, then they're going to teach the next gators, and then it becomes really easy. Not easy; it's never easy, but it's just it's a really good metaphor to keeping good people and training the next group. And so when you create that culture and you say, "Hey, this is our standard," the next guy's going to meet that standard, right? And then I have to participate less because I know my other guys are going to take care of it. And so we've been really successful with that. The hard part was because everybody was busy and construction is messy, right?
Yeah.
Timelines. I mean, we went from, so I guess 3 Januaries ago now, we came out of the winter. We were doing dig to swim in 58 days.
Okay.
Okay.
This is in 2001?
This is
2020?
This is in 20.
Yeah. Sorry.
By that May, we were at 144 days
Yeah.
for the same project. And it kills you, right? Because time is something that you want to give everybody back, right?
Yeah.
Money is, I don't want to say people, they print more money every day. You can't get your time back. And so people are like, hey, I want to swim. And it was just a combination of things. So it was one, people were busy. We have rain down here, right? We do rain a year. You know, that delays one job or the next job. Material supply was a little bit of a problem. We actually, and this was something Aaron and I'm kind of proud of us for doing, is we actually, we pre-bought a ton of stuff. I mean, we put a lot of cash on the table to bring stuff in so that we wouldn't run out.
Yeah, just develop a stockpile.
And one thing that helped, and I will say this is where Premier stepped up, is because we have such a good relationship, we use Jandy Products, Fluidra's the parent company there. I was able to flex being part of Premier. And so we made sure that we would, you know, to the point that if you go out like on Pensacola Beach right now, I see my heaters and my filters and other stuff because other people couldn't get them. And so now they have these Franken pools where they have a mixture of, you know, Hayward and Pentair and Jandy and all these things out there. And it was frustrating to me because I knew I brought them in and I would go like, hey man, that's
mine.
You know, and of course your distribution house is like, you know, sorry, but so-and-so needed it.
Yeah, what do you want me to do?
But so we didn't really run into that. The biggest issue was just timing. And the problem too is when you have a subcontractor that's in high demand, they don't care as much how much you need them because they'll go to the next job, right? So we had to eat more crow. We had to beg and plead just to get people to show up. So not even, you know, it helps that we pay on time and it helps that, you know, we have a big enough footprint. We're not the biggest guy. But we're not the smallest guy either.
I was going to say that I primarily use subcontractors for my business. And it's just, if you're fair with them, they're fair with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then just to segue into that, you know, one of my main subcontractors, of course, is Janilson. Right. And it's a funny because we have
been on this podcast.
Right. So
a couple of times, I think.
You know, Janilson is, you know, and of course, he's, you know, part of the reason I'm in jiu-jitsu today, but it's a funny relationship because, and not, you know, he's Brazilian. We get heated every once in a while. It happens, right? And it's both because we both care, right? I need something done. He wants something done. He's mad because his guys disappointed him. I'm mad because my guys disappointed me. But I know at the end of the day, I got to go probably fight this guy.
Yeah.
And the level of expertise, as we know, is he's just that much farther above me.
Yeah.
But it makes for a great relationship, right? We're good friends. Inside and outside, we also work well together. You know, you talk about partnerships. It's just one of those other partnerships that really, I mean, I've had the opportunity when I was in the Carolinas briefly is actually where I met him. And then it ends up, I started working with his brother-in-law down here when he was working for another guy and kind of brought him into town. And it was one of those moments where we're looking at each other going, we know each other, and ended up that. And then, you know, then I had somebody tell me, and
when you fight, do you call him professor?
I don't know that I've ever called him professor when you say that now, and I feel guilty like I need to. Probably. Maybe when other people are around. I don't know. We're kind of on a first name basis. But we have our moments where we kind of laugh and sometimes it gets serious. But I think it might have been Aaron that was the first one that said, hey, you should do jiu-jitsu. All right, look, so can I segue into jiu-jitsu for a minute here? Yeah. So this was back, and I started doing jiu-jitsu right at 8 years ago. So I mean, I was almost 40. I'm 47 now. I'll be 48.
That's right when I started, almost 40.
So I was
38.
I weighed 248 pounds.
Oh, Keith weighed way more than you.
Oh, I know, but I was big. I was jolly. I drove around all day. I ate bad food. I'm making things happen right for the company, and I needed to do something healthy wise, weight wise, just the whole of it. And I'm pretty sure it was Aaron was like, man, you know, because I wrestled in high school, but that's been 30 years ago now. And, you know, and then
Utah.
In Utah. In Utah. So, and then I don't run because I don't like running. And I've had some knee problems in the past and that kind of, I know you like to run.
I don't mind it. I did it for a
unless something's chasing me,
time.
I'm not interested. Yeah. So anyway, so he
said,
you should try jiu-jitsu. So naturally, I went to the one Brazilian guy that I hung out with, this guy named Janilson, and I said, hey, man, you're Brazilian. You would know someone that does jiu-jitsu, right? Just like every Japanese guy knows karate, right?
Sure.
So, and
or judo.
Funny enough, though, he says, I own a gym.
Yeah.
Literally had just opened Checkmat within weeks of this conversation. I said,
is that small place that had the acai bowl right next to it? Yeah.
It wasn't even an acai place next to it when we started. I mean, it was about double the size of this room, I think. I mean, it was not.
I was small.
So I said, man, I'll show up. And I was going to just do no gi because I thought the gi was silly looking. I was a wrestler, you know, and then, I think my first night I don't know, Casey was there.
I know,
and that was when Casey was like 300 plus, and now Casey's down to 200, or he was. I don't know. He's pseudo retired from jiu-jitsu, I guess. We haven't seen him in a minute, but but there was this little girl. I think her name was Amber. She was a purple belt. Okay, and because of the wrestling, one thing with jiu-jitsu, of course, you got to be comfortable with the physicality, the presence,
the contact,
the intimacy.
Yeah.
And some people just have never had that in their life. I was like, man, that's no problem. And I'm a bigger guy. I can handle this. And dude, she walked up one side and down the other. I felt like she was Stacey Ferguson in one of that Mission Impossible movie where she starts out. I was like, but I'll tell you what I came away with. I was like, if she can do this, I can do this, and I'm bigger, right? Like there was I realized I'd probably never be that mobile, right, Keith? We're not going to be that mobile.
Right, yeah. The very first person I rolled with was a girl also that choked me out in, a minute.
Was that Griffin? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I walked
She's done that to me too.
I walked into the gym and Scott goes, roll with her.
Yeah, I've rolled with her a few times, and I had to really scramble to make sure,
But so, and I got into it just to lose weight. I mean, that was really, I don't want to call it a midlife crisis, but I needed to do something. Cholesterol is high, all that kind of fun stuff. And I needed something to do. And I've never been one to work out. I know y'all love that CrossFit. That bores me to tears.
I hear you.
I think it's cool. I'm not knocking the results and the rest of it. So the time I spend in the jiu-jitsu gym.
Yeah.
And, so I was able, and then my goal was to get under 200. I hadn't been under 200 since I was probably 28.
Okay.
I wrestled in high school 160, just to give you a reference point.
I was going to ask what was the weight. Okay.
Yeah, 160. And I didn't have to cut for weight.
You didn't have to cut?
I was 152 as a junior, but there was this stud 3-time state champ that wanted to go 152. And I said, you know what? I'm going to drop weight. And I tried to go to 145 and went, this ain't going to happen. So I went to 160.
Okay.
So, so I did that. So just to give you kind of the point there, and I used to avid soccer player. I love. I mean, I played.
Is that why you don't like to run anymore?
Well, no, I blew out my knee playing six-a-side as an adult. Right, in my mid-30s.
That's where I tore my groin.
Yeah, right. It's not
terrible.
So the running to this day I don't have any meniscus in my right knee.
Good times.
So eventually they say I'll need a knee replacement.
We'll go down to Panama and get some stem cells.
Hey.
I'm down.
I'm down.
We get them shot in our shoulders too. I'm down. Maybe we'll have a trip.
Perfect.
Take us down there, and then we'll get the stem cells.
Yeah. So
all right. So you get started because you got to do something.
I guess, and it was great because in the early days of the gym, it was Professor Alessandro. I don't know if you ever met him.
I didn't. I met Gilson.
And then Gilson came in, right? And Gilson is this world-class guy that could never quite get over the hump, right?
Yeah.
Like he had a lot of second place success. He's an artist. But the great thing was we were such a small gym. Thursday nights, I'd be the only guy that would show up.
Oh my God. Really?
And here's Gilson.
Was Gilson there?
Yeah. And he would go, you want to just roll? And I was like, so we'd go 90 minutes and he would tap me probably every 30 seconds.
Oh, it's kind of like me and Jose.
Right. But here it was, but I was like, and it was the best thing for me because I needed to lose the weight. I needed to sweat.
Well, Gilson's
I wasn't worried
a little
about
guy too.
Yeah.
What was he weighing? Like 150?
If that.
Yeah.
And maybe 140. And I probably had him 100 pounds, but it didn't matter. That's the beauty of jiu-jitsu, right? So we had this, and so it was the thing to get the cut. And so then, as the gym evolved, right, Professor Chico came in. I know he's been on the podcast as well. And so Chico, he promoted me to blue belt. I think we're about 2 years into the equation there. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you're going to compete. And I was like, well, it's not my thing. I'm doing this to lose weight. He said, no, you need to compete. And I said, well, the only way I'll compete is if I can drop under 200 pounds. Right. And at the time I weighed about 222, 225, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And he said, well, look, there's a tournament coming up. We're going to sign up. I think the next one was like Las Vegas. Well, it's Worlds.
Okay.
This is the first tournament. It's Worlds.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I lost 28 pounds in about 25 days.
Oh my God.
And Megan North, I did meal prep. I just didn't eat. I was angry, truthfully.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife was not a happy camper with me. But I got, listen, so, I should mention, I was finding medium heavy. Like I went all the way down to medium heavy, right? My lowest I've ever been is 189 in the last little bit. So I'm lean and I'm mean and I'm angry. And so we get to Vegas. I haven't competed ever.
Your first tournament is Worlds.
Oh, yeah, I know. Dry mouth. It's hot. You know, there's
a
no
million
humidity.
people there.
Right. My wife goes on this thing with me. She still doesn't understand why I do this. She likes what it's done to my body. She appreciates that. But she's also, dude, we've been married, 22 years now. She's over the aesthetics, right? So first match, he was my clone, some corn-fed boy from, Iowa. I mean, blonde hair, built like, I think I beat him by 2 points. Like it was right. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is a thing. So the next guy, I lost by 2 points, and it was a good fight, but I was clearly outclassed. This was not. So, and I was kind of,
at least you're not out in the first round.
No, and that's right. And that's
that's a little different.
Isn't that always the fear?
That's a little different than my first tournament.
If I get past the first match, I'm like,
okay, I did the thing.
I'm gonna win
yeah,
this thing.
Right. Yeah,
I'm gonna win it. In my defense, on my first tournament, I thought I was going to watch a jiu-jitsu tournament.
Dude, he has the worst story ever.
Scott,
the worst story ever.
Scott took me. We get in the gym. He throws a gi at me and says, "You're signed up."
That's awesome. Good on him.
Yeah. But it's going to Worlds. He's not a blue belt. He'd been training 4 months maybe, and he's competing at blue belt.
Yeah, why not?
And so from there on out, he's got to compete at blue belt.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
It was not.
It was terrible.
It was not fun. I got murdered for
years.
Well, I came out of it going, okay, I did a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, the competition was good. It's fun to take my wife to Vegas. Okay. Yeah. But I wasn't like, whatever. But Atlanta was like maybe the following weekend or 2 weeks later. And I said, you know what? I'll do Atlanta, right? I'll do Atlanta as well.
We'll go eat dinner at the place and what's the
Famagotcha or what? It's closed now.
Is it?
Yeah. They
we'll go eat upstairs.
COVID put them. Yeah, the Brazilian.
No. We've done Atlanta 2 or 3 times and we've gone upstairs and. What's the Park City? Is that the name of the place?
The Omni?
No, it's right there on the main street. And there's like a whole restaurant row.
City Grill?
City Grill.
There you go. Okay.
Thank you.
I've not been to City Grill for jiu-jitsu, but I appreciate City Grill.
Okay.
So actually, new partner David, that's his favorite restaurant. He's from that area.
Okay.
So, So anyway, I go to Atlanta. I'm still at middle heavy, and I end up winning, and then I win the Open as well.
Oh, the Open.
And I'm like, oh, maybe I can do a thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I competed
you got bit.
one more time that year, and then, went into the following year. And, with, maybe once a month, it was local. If I could drive to it, New Orleans, I think they did a Birmingham, they did, Nashville, a couple things more on the local scene.
Sure.
And had some good success. And everybody would stay the extra day for no gi. I always use Sundays to go back home because there's only so much time you can commit to a thing, right? And so, that kind of got the bug. And what I find is that when I have that goal, when I know that I have a competition, man, I eat better, I train better. It's like anything in life.
Yeah.
Even this is why we set numbers in business, right?
Sure.
This is why
got to meet that quarterly number.
Right. If we're going to hit that number, we have to have a number to hit. We have to figure out, and then break it down. What does that mean? What does that mean per sale? What is that? Right.
Yeah.
So, because like right now, I competed last weekend and this week I'm not eating the best and I haven't been back to the gym because I'm playing a little bit of catch up too.
Sure.
You competed on Sunday, so you had to come home, right?
I flew back on Monday morning.
Yeah.
It was, and it was a rough tournament for me. They don't always go the way you want. Ended up coming in third. I think we talked a little bit about this, Keith. I think you were out of the room, but so they gave me the win to go to the final, and then they rescinded it after I'd already been back in the bullpen. Evidently, the guy should have had another advantage. Which fair enough, but the scorecard didn't get it, and so but the trouble was is the last minute of the fight I played defensively, thinking I was ahead. Up,
yeah.
And and we talked on the podium, and he's like, man, he goes, look, we both fought differently. He goes, because I thought I was winning, and you thought you were winning, and so there was and he deserved to win. I was telling you, I got thrown. Probably one of the best.
You got
thrown? Look, it's hard to get me off my feet. I don't, as Chico says, I don't know a lot of jiu-jitsu, but I know how to stay on my feet pretty well.
Sure.
And dude, I mean, head over heels type. Just
So is this a judo guy?
he was a judo guy. It was a beautiful and taller, right? I always have trouble with tall guys.
Yeah, I do
And
too.
I mean, it was clean. It was beautiful.
He got in and got his hips into you, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was. But here's the thing: you tried it again, and I was able to catch his leg.
Yeah.
So I was ready. I wasn't ready going in, and I should have been.
Yeah.
Anyways, he deserved to win. I mean, wasn't upset at that. I was more upset about you get your momentum up, you get your excitement. I already called Chico. I got some stuff I got to work on my game, and that's the continual improvement.
Sure.
And I'm disappointed, not disappointed, because and I'll brag a little bit. I won Europeans.
Yeah.
And earlier this year.
Where was that at? Paris?
It's in Paris this year. Beautiful. So I taught my wife going to the first jiu-jitsu tournament, right? Go to Worlds or go to Vegas. She has not been to another tournament. She just doesn't.
So she went to Paris?
But she went to Paris because,
Awesome.
It's why not? Yeah, because I said, hey, do you want to go to Paris? And she was like, yeah. And she goes, is this a jiu-jitsu thing? And I said, absolutely.
It's only one day.
It's one day, right? And we had a great time. So it was a good, we had our anniversary was earlier this month. And so it was a nice, kind of bundled it all together, pre-pool season, the rest of it. And then it came away with the win, which is always nice.
That's nice.
I did get humbled in the open, little featherweight guy.
Well, it's brown belt, bro.
Yeah, but hey, I know, but I was winning and I got greedy.
Yeah.
I know what I did. I'm still mad at right? You rethink it, you do it. So, but again, it's one of those things that.
Oh man, small guys are so squirrely. That's the problem.
They are, but I should. Anyways, I'll never hear the end of it.
Joel's over at our place now.
Yeah,
and
dude, he throws me all the time.
Dude,
and
I love training with that guy.
I do too.
You better have your shit together because he is getting it.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yeah, and so much energy.
I've always been. You went to Europeans in Lisbon a couple of years ago, and I was like, God dang it!
I'm pretty sure.
I wish you would have I wish it would have been like. We were buddies enough to go, hey, I'm going to sign up for Lisbon. You want to go? I would have said, hell yeah, let's go.
It was. It was probably the worst tournament. Like you're talking about getting out in the first round. Yeah. So look, so I, as a blue belt, I won Worlds.
Yeah.
And I think that was maybe October that year. That this was 18, I think. No, it was 19.
19. It was 19.
Won Worlds.
I remember.
And then Chico wanted me to compete in no-gi Worlds. I don't do no-gi. And I ended up getting hurt. Hurt my shoulder on vacation.
Okay.
And so over the Christmas holiday, Chico promotes me to purple belt. So I've already signed up for Europeans, top of the blue belt ladder. Now I'm at the bottom of the purple. So I go to Lisbon. Well, I can't change my flights. I can't change my stay. So I was going to fight at the beginning of the week. And then by the end of the week, I was going to have a week off. Aaron went with me. We did some business planning, and then we were going to just hang out, right? Have that time together. And he, by getting promoted, now I'm competing at the end of the week. And of course, I'm cutting weight, and and look, I love my bourbon, but I don't drink when I go into tournaments. I don't, ahead of time, we try to avoid some of that stuff. And so it was pretty miserable going to Lisbon. Lisbon's,
I'm glad I didn't go with you then.
Lisbon's an okay town, but like given European, you'd rather go to Rome. You'd rather go to Paris. You'd rather go to London. Lisbon doesn't have a lot.
Really?
Portugal
did you see the waves?
Like, no, I mean, that's just it.
Did you see that humongous wave?
No.
They're like 50-foot waves, bro.
Again, if I'd had time to explore after, and they always talk about, we have
you
really
were
nice
hangry
beaches
the whole
in the
time.
right, and they're like, we have really nice beaches in the summer. I was like, guys, I live at the beach.
Yeah,
that's not. They're like, they're like they do codfish, man. Like they're like that. Portugal does codfish and cork. Those are their two staples. So anyway, I came away not very happy, but the worst part is, right, I lose in the first round.
You lose in the first round.
It was
ruins the whole thing for me.
Man,
it ruins the whole thing.
I fought on Thursday. We're supposed to fly home Saturday. It's Friday. And Aaron and I paid $600 each to fly home a day early. Because I was like, dude, that's how bad I wanted to go. Like I was like, dude, I'm spending the money. It is not, I do not want to be here anymore. It was no fun. Right. So, but it's part of it. Now, I also think that I might have been patient zero to bring back COVID. Because literally,
Although I don't think the tournament was in Lisbon, not Wuhan.
well, no, but so I'll tell you a funny story. So we're down eating breakfast. I think we stayed at Holiday Inn. It wasn't anything super fancy in Lisbon. And there was a whole group of a Chinese contingent, and they were masked up. And we know that's mass culture, right? So, but, I mean, to the point where I was like, man, everybody's masked. Like, it was a weird thing. So I get back, and I was supposed to fight in Atlanta the next weekend. And I didn't feel that great. And I assumed it was jet lag, whatever. And so I skipped it. And I was going to do New Orleans the following weekend. And then that's when COVID hit and they shut everything down. So fast forward 3 months, I give blood regularly. And so I'd given blood. They said, hey, we can test you for the antibodies, whatever. I said, sure, test me. I popped positive that I had COVID, although I'd never, asymptomatic, whatever. So it could have been, I don't know, right? I've flown a lot of planes. I mean, there's one of the early patients. Right. Maybe I got,
So how do you, so really we've talked a lot about jiu-jitsu and you've been in the game a while. Do you think that there's a correlation between business and mindset and everything else?
Absolutely.
What do you think that is? Because I wax on and on about it all the time, but it'd be nice to hear someone else.
Yeah, no. So, I will tell on a call it a 10-foot level, not a 20,000-foot level. The girls in my office will quite often ask me if I've gone to the gym this week.
Okay. So
because they can tell that I might be a little angry. I might be a little short.
My wife does that.
You get the aggression out, maybe.
I don't know if it's aggressive because I'm not an overly aggressive person. I can be, but I'm not a fighter. Look. I can't go backwards. I can go forwards. A lot of times we got to compromise, especially in business. We have to figure out how to keep the client happy, right? And sometimes they're wrong, and sometimes I'm wrong, and but there's no reason to fight about it. But I think a lot of it is that I get when you have a business or multiple businesses or multiple things, like you have this noise that runs in your head. I call it noise, right?
I was going to say the same thing.
The only time that I don't think about business is when I'm on the jiu-jitsu mat. Because if you start thinking about business, you get to take a nap.
Correct.
Right?
Been there. And I tell people,
right?
I tell people all the time, you cannot think about anything else when someone's trying to break your arm.
And you have to think about breathing. So we have this moment that, but what happens though is it's a good defrag for me because when I get started again, look, you come out of the gym, especially you guys work out a lot during the day, and you've got, you've got phone calls that need to be made. You have all this, this noise piles up again, but it's a way to kind of reset that and go.
Yeah.
And it's also something that jiu-jitsu in general, like I didn't get into this to get a black belt. I'm still not a black belt, right?
Yeah.
Now I kind of want to do it because
you're pretty close.
Right?
And you're in the game.
And I'm in the game, but like it's a cool accomplishment. But had I been a teenager, I would have never gone, you know what, I can commit 10 years of my life to doing a thing, right?
Or 12
or
15
But when you look at
20.
that, when you look at jiu-jitsu over time and you look at your business, right? Like my business plan is, we worry about quarters and we worry about the year, but I've got a 5-year plan, right? I got an exit plan. I got you got all these things that may be fungible and may move, but there is so that's kind of how it relates. Yeah,
I really think jiu-jitsu, for those people and lots of people, especially athletic folks that like to move and stuff like that, I don't think they can sit still and do the meditation thing.
Right.
And as we progress in life and progress in business, you start listening to, what do high performers do? And lots of them talk about meditation and, you're talking about the noise, and I've heard it called like the monkey brain, and really figuring out how to control that. And I do think jiu-jitsu is a pretty good form of meditation. I think it's a good form of meditation where you do get to clear your mind, because that's the only thing that you can like really focus on, and it's, and especially once you've learned jujitsu enough to start playing.
Yes.
And like, I know what you're trying to do, you know what I'm trying to do, and it's who's going to set it up. And then like, I can have real appreciation when you put that damn hand over my back and I kind of get an idea of what you're doing and I can't quite solve it. I got appreciation for that, once I'm in the game long enough to go, that's slick, and or you catch the arm or whatever.
Sure.
And it's fun and it's meditation at the same time. And I do leave like feeling better, And
it's changing just a few degrees or a few changes change the whole outcome. And business the same way, right?
Same way. I was going to, yeah.
And I will say this about jiu-jitsu too, is a lot of it, it's always about going back to fundamentals.
Yeah.
Right? That's what happens a lot in business as you grow, as you go, we got more things, we do more stuff. And then you go, you know what though, but the core of what we do and how we do it, go back to it, right?
I was going to say that. And I do think that's why Chico is so good. Like, how do you get out of guard? Number one, don't get in guard.
Right.
You know, I'm like, oh,
don't end up
shit.
there. Yeah,
like, it's that simple. So do whatever you have to do to not get in there.
That's why a black belt match is so boring. Because
hand fighting,
they're
unless it's Hanato.
They go back, grips and
Did y'all see Hanato's
they go back to the
match
basics.
where he's doing the flips and all that just recently?
I did not.
I'll send y'all a link.
Okay.
Holy cow, that's a whole other level of.
No, but I did watch Adam, the checkmate guy over in like Switzerland. God, that was an awesome match, and I saw him just destroy the guy from Colombia, Roberto Jimenez. Man, he destroyed him.
I mean, there's
but those guys are legit.
But
so you were saying it, and kind of what I was going to say is that the further you get along in business, and probably the further you get along in jiu-jitsu, like the overlaps and the parallels are so crazy, is that it's not about figuring out like the go-go plata. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's cool to have that in your arsenal, but you're not using that. You're using just basic half guard. You're figuring out what is my game.
Right.
You know, you're figuring out what are my strengths, and you're figuring out how to execute 3 things probably really well. That's it. And then other than that, how do I set that up to get you to go one way? So boom, now I'm open to it. And it's just foundations and fundamentals.
Yeah.
You know, don't get
you're
yourself in a
able
bad
to do
position.
more as you learn more. Just don't forget where you came from, right? Like that has so, you know, there's a reason that a business becomes successful or it grows. And so you go, hey, why did it grow?
Yeah.
Where do we go back to that?
Why did that work? Okay, guys, everyone knows if you're a business owner, a business leader, or you're just a person in the world needing help with accounting, you need a real partner. You need someone that's going to listen to you and not just plug numbers in to make their job easy to do your taxes. At least that's what I want. I've been through a lot of accountants in my life, and I have yet to find one even remotely as good as Johnny Baranco. He's the owner of Baranco and Associates, and he's the kind of guy that really doesn't manipulate your books to make his job easier. He really is trying to give you insights into your business or into your financial planning world. Whatever your goals are, he's there to help. And so I just encourage you to give him a call. Baranco and Associates, look him up online. It's barancoandassociates.com, and just see if he can help you. He really is the accountant that I recommend to everyone, even before he was a sponsor of the podcast. So please, if you need an accountant, just do yourself a favor and give him a call.
Hey, I want to talk about my friend Ross Sykes at Homefront Lending. He's a mortgage broker that can help you find a home when you don't typically fit in the norm and get you financed. Reach out to Ross at hflend.com. He specializes in mortgage products for first-time homebuyers, veterans, and self-employed borrowers. They are in the business to serve you beyond the transaction. At Homefront, they are always honored to serve. hflend.com.
Hey there. My good friend Steve Bousquet and his partner, Christine Era, the owners of Green Profit Academy, are super excited about a new product they've got coming out. If you didn't know, they're the authors of Profit First for the Lawn Care Business. And it's a book written by Christine Era. Steve plays a big role in sort of adding to that. But they've got that book. It's already out, but if you're an audiobook listener and you just learn better by listening, they've got the audio version coming out, and I think this is really cool. They've got Christine Era narrating the audiobook, and she does a really good job. I've heard some clips of it. It's pretty fantastic. And Mike Michalowicz, the original author of Profit First, he reads the foreword. And so they've got a book launch that's going to come out on their website, Green Profit Academy, and you should stay tuned. for more information about that. They're going to have some giveaways. They're going to have some other special deals going on. But the book itself, the audio book, will come out September 12th. So please be on the lookout for that. And if you need some help with Profit First for your green industry business, please give them a call or look them up, Green Profit Academy. Thanks so much.
One more thing. Jiu-jitsu helps me sleep. I don't sleep a whole lot as it is. I run about 4.5 hours. This week, had a really busy big commercial project last week. Then I had a tournament. Then I came back. I've been running like 2 hours, and I crashed last night. And I went to bed at like 8. I never go to bed at 8. And I woke up at 2 in the morning. And I didn't know what to do with myself, but I slept so well, right? And jiu-jitsu helps me sleep better. Because otherwise my mind's running the whole time, right? That's the other part, right? It's that noise.
Yeah.
But having a way where your body physically doesn't allow you to do it is amazing. I need that, right? Otherwise I'm going to stay up all night thinking about whatever to do, how to do the next thing. And that's healthy, some of it, but then sometimes you just need the rest. And so I appreciate jiu-jitsu for that.
Me too. Well, man, we got to wrap this up. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for coming here. And, man, it's awesome knowing you. And,
this was great, guys.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So, man, we'll have to have you come back and we'll talk about overcoming injuries and everything else. Cause Lord knows you've had some of those. We all have. Keith, anything else we got to?
No, we're good. Go see our sponsors.
Yeah, please do.
I was in a few this week and, touch base with them, and they're really great people. So go support them.
Yeah. Well, hey, Cameron, thanks again for coming out, and I really appreciate you being on, and hopefully our listeners got to get a lot out of that. And man, thanks again. We'll talk to you later.
Peace.